Rock 95, good morning. Just about 9 o'clock. And joining me, I know we kind of rush going on, but we're totally live here. We appreciate your time. Larkin Poe, good morning.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Really good. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. Such a pleasure to talk with you. I feel like an idiot, too, because I've been listening to your music this week. I'm like, oh, my God, how did I not hear about these guys sooner? Because you guys are just fantastic.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah, we've been doing it for about, 10 years as Larkin Poe. So we're old kids on the block.
You're old kids on the block. I was reading your bio. I'm like, there's no way either one of these girls is close to 30, but you are.
We are. I know.
And over 30.
Crazy. I mean, time must fly. I mean, it's nutty like that, I suppose, being a musician, huh?
It's true. And so much of our time has spent, in a typical year out on the road. And so we feel like we've packed about 8 lifetimes into our 30 some odd years thus far.
Isn't that crazy? You guys were performing pretty early on in your career, right? In your lives, actually.
Yeah, we've been incredibly fortunate to get off with some really cool touring situations, from hitting the road with Keith Urban to Bob Seger to Elvis Costello, and touring with our own band, Larkin Poe. Is pretty killer.
That's outstanding. How did this kind of start for you guys? Is it something that you just took to at an early age in your life?
We started out classically trained, and then we went to a bluegrass festival in our early teens, and we just quit our classical lessons immediately and sort of started this band just as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And it really took off. We didn't expect it to at all.
Yeah, I tell you what. So I'm a father of 2. If I had 2 daughters and then they're teens and want to go on tour, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to drive me nuts. How did it go in your family?
We feel your pain. I think our parents do as well. Both of our folks are actually medical doctors. So the fact that we are touring musicians is even that much more of a harebrained out of left field idea. But they've been really supportive. We've always been pretty nose to the grindstone type people, not in it for the party, really in it to show up for the music. And so I think that they felt a little better because they knew who we were as people. But I spent my 21st birthday in Scotland playing a show, and my mother was like, please don't get trashed.
So you must have been a pretty good negotiator to pull all of that off.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think just being a musician in today's, age of making music, the industry is so competitive. And, we've always taken the kind of do-it-yourself route. We started our own record label in 2017 and started self-producing our own records. So I think that we've learned how to negotiate our way through this kind of crazy way of making a dollar, playing music.
So it started with folk because I like your sound. I'll let you describe it because it's got lots of different elements and genres that are all involved in this, with gospel and country and blues and rock and roll.
Yeah, we kind of stick with the roots, roots rock and roll moniker, because it's a little bit of an amorphous definition, because we don't want to be nailed down to anything. We love roots American music. So anything from country to bluegrass to blues, and edging into, more of the Southern rock stuff that we grew up listening to with the Allman Brothers. We get called the Little Sisters of the Allman Brothers.
We love that.
But yeah, anything that roots will do.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment, right? My goodness.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, good Lord. And that I love that lap steel. That sound is fantastic.
Yeah, the lap steel is kind of relegated to country music far too much. I think it's really a rock and roll instrument. And, I love my old Rickenbacker. It's from the 1950s. It's just a beautiful instrument.
Well, tell me about the harmonies that you guys, was it always there? Did it always kind of click for you guys when you're singing together?
We started singing together really young. Mm-hmm. We were probably even before we could read. Our mother just for fun taught us how to sing harmonies together. So it's been something that always has shaped our sound. I think being siblings, you kind of have an edge up. It's very easy because your voices, when we're talking on the phone, giving interviews, it's very challenging because our voices basically sound the same. But that definitely works in your favor when you're singing with somebody. It gets that family connection.
Well, I think you guys have is it 5 albums that are out now? Or?
We do. Yeah. I can't believe it's true, but yeah, this is number 5.
Crazy. Now the new one just came out a few days ago, for crying out loud.
Yes, we're so excited to finally have it out. It's our favorite record that we've made to date. It's called Self-Made Man, and it's a rockin' little piece of work. We're very proud.
Yeah, it's got a cool edge to it. Why Self-Made Man?
It's funny. We named the record "Self-Made Man" because it was one of the first songs. "She's a Self-Made Man" was one of the first songs that I wrote for the record and brought to Megan. And I think the connection, it felt really right based on, you know, the vulnerability of the lyric, because saying self-made man, I think it's something that a lot of Americans kind of bandy around on a daily basis. And it had never occurred to me, I mean, even as a 29-year-old woman, until this year, that I was gender qualifying success by attaching man to the definition. And that really bothered me. So I needed to write a song about it and just play with the idea. And so whenever I brought this on to Megan, she was like, all right, let's do this. Let's go.
What was the process in putting this album together? Did it take a while? Did you kind of search out a different producer to do this? How did this all come about for you guys?
This came off the back right after we had been on the road for like 2 years, touring really intensely, in support of our record Venom and Faith, which actually got a Grammy nomination. And that was the second record that we had self-produced together as sisters. And I think getting that nomination, it was really like a shot in the arm. It felt like we were on the right path and people were connecting with the way that we were making records. So we decided to use the same process for Self-Made Man. And it was effortless, actually.
Yeah, you know, it's just the two of us and an engineer in the studio, our good buddy Roger Allen Nichols. So it's a very stripped back, lean, mean, killing machine. But it feels like home when we get into the studio now.
Does it feel good to kind of make the music you want to? And I'm sure maybe you probably did get some pressure from people early on in your career. You need to be more country. You need to be more this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people definitely try to give very well-intentioned advice to young artists in terms of picking a lane. Like, all right, you got to pick your lane and like try to figure out how to connect with as many people as you can. But I do think that there's a different ethos to the music industry for bands like us that are making music left of center. You know, you can find your audience with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and even Spotify. Like, you have all these different avenues to reach people who are looking for left of center music. So we feel fortunate to have stuck to our guns all these years and kind of been oddballs. I think it served us well, and we're very fortunate to have an incredibly supportive fan base.
How did it come about with Bob Seger, and how did you get on that tour, and how cool was that?
Dude, it was the coolest. And interestingly, it was through Facebook. So we have this video series called Tip of the Hat, and we've been doing it for like 2-3 years now. And so we basically just cover songs that are nostalgic to us, that we feel were influential to us as kids, you know, and we release cover versions of these songs. And so Bob Seger's wife found us on Facebook covering
Preachin' Blues.
Preachin' Blues by Son House. And that video got us the tour. They said, hey, like, you guys are doing something special. Come out and support us.
As long as we played Preachin' Blues
every night for Bob.
And he would hang out and watch the performance?
He would come out for that song to the side of the stage to watch.
And we would watch him every night, because there is no greater way to learn how to perform than to watch somebody like Bob Seger just rock every night. Like, that dude left everything on the stage, every scrap of energy. Really inspiring artist.
Everything I've read about him, he sounds like he's the super nice guy.
He's very charming.
So charming.
Very cool. Now, this new album, boy, I encourage people to check this out. It's been out less than a week now. One of the other songs that I really love is Every Bird That Flies.
Thank you.
That was one of my favorites to record, because we wanted to have a real moody track on the record. And I loved recording that song. Yeah,
that one's really good. And this new release, the first single from this album, which is hitting mainstream rock, and it got sent to us, and we were like, okay, this is really cool. It's got a different sound to it. And tell me about this track now with Holy Ghost Fire. We'll play it here in just a minute as well.
Yeah. Holy Ghost is one of my favorites on the album. I think the writing process for this record really shifted, because previously, I think a lot of songwriters can attest to the fact that it can be challenging to get outside your own head when you're writing a song, and use, you know, your writing process as like a form of therapy for your unique perspective on the world. But for this record, we really did want to write, you know, some anthems that we could imagine not only us singing, but all the people that come to our gigs, like singing it together. And so we wrote this song in an effort to, like, one, really champion the healing power of music, because I think, you know, rock and roll and, you know, all the records that mean something to us, that's kind of like a lot of our church. That's how you have a religious experience, is connecting with people through song. And so putting a lot of that feeling into Holy Ghost Fire and really envisioning singing it with a lot of people this spring on our headline tour in Europe was the goal. But hey, surprise, surprise. So we're happy that this song is getting out there finally to people and hopefully able to help us through these very uncertain times.
So what are the plans in the future? I know hopefully we get by all of this COVID-19. Are you starting to book some shows for the fall for 2021?
Yeah, there's a lot of plans on the books. I think all of us are very optimistic because, you know, as touring musicians, it's the main way that a lot of artists do make their living. And so not only is it something that we do because it feels incredible and everyone loves coming to a rock show, but I think that we're really hoping to get back on track ASAP. So we
got a lot of big plans for 2021.
We do.
We're coming for you.
Well, please come to Mankato, Minnesota. We would love to have you here.
Yes, we'd love to come.
Love to have you guys. Thank you so much for your time. We encourage people to check out the new album, Self-Made Man. It came out, I think, June 12th? Is that
right?
Right? Guys, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate that. Love the band, love the sound, and maybe we'll see you down the road at some point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Let's fire up the song. This is Larkin Poe and Holy Ghost Fire on Rock 95. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.